No, you can go ahead and start.
Okay. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashta Prayeshva Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyutama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Yam Pravrajantam Anapetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayana Virahakatara Juhava Putreti Tanmayatayo Taravo Vinedus Tam Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munimana Tosmi. So we will read now the 49th verse of the 25th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto. Okay, so the verse is Mukhya Nama Purastat Dvaha Tayapana Bahudano Vishayo Yati Purarat Rasagya Vipananvitaha. Mukhya, the chief, Nama, called, Purastat, on the eastern side, Dvaha, gate, Taya, by that, Apana, of the name Apana, Bahudano, on the name Bahudana, Vishayo, two places, Yati, used to go, Purarat, the king of the city, Puranjana, Rasagya, of the name Rasagya, Vipana, of the name Vipana, Anvitaha, along with. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So the fifth gate, situated on the eastern side, was named Mukhya, or the chief. Through this gate, accompanied by his friends named Rasagya and Vipana, he used to visit two places named Bahudana and Apana. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The mouth is here described as the chief gate or the most important gate. The mouth is a very important entrance because one has two functions to conduct with the mouth. One function is eating and the other is speaking. Our eating is done with the friend Rasagya, the tongue, which can taste so many different foods. The tongue is also used for speaking, and it can speak of either material or sense enjoyment or Vedic knowledge. And of course, here material sense enjoyment is stressed, therefore the word rasagya is nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatyaesvatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yantah Pravishya Mama Vachimam Prasuttam Sanjeevayata Kila Shakti Darak Swadamna Anyam Shahasta Charana Shravanatva Gadim Pranandamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Janmandhyasya Yatonvayata Tarataschatyasya Divyaswaratteni Brahmahridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vare Mridam Yatha Vinimaya Yatratrishargam Risha Dhamnasvina Sada Nirastu Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Satyam Param Dhimahi Svasyastu Vishvasya Kalah Prasidatam Mahi Svasyastu Vishvasya Kalah Prasidatam Dhyantu Bhutani Shivam Nitodya Manasya Badram Bhajatha Pradokshaj So, thank you very much for inviting me for this Srimad Bhagavatam morning class. Of course, it's evening here where I am now. I will try to speak a few words on this topic of the story of King Puranjana. This is, of course, we know. This is, of course, we know, is allegorical story, and the purpose of this story is to have an objective look at what is going on with us while we are enjoying or trying to enjoy material life in this body. The developed intelligence of a human being gives us this privilege. We, and only we, out of all the 8,400,000 species of life, are capable of having an objective look. Everyone else's consciousness from within, so to speak. We cannot really detach ourselves in other species of life. The God cannot philosophically think about what is going on, she's or he is enjoying some grass, chewing some. Cannot really objectively estimate whatever it is privilege. We actually don't use this privilege often enough. What happened? Okay, happened what my connection is broken.
Broken?
Yeah,
Unstable.
no, it's broken. Okay, I'm back here. Do you hear me? Let's hope that it will not happen too often.
Can you to the modem?
Huh? You hear me now?
Are you close to the modem and the router?
Well,
we are experiencing some technical.
I'm in a hotel. I'm in a hotel, so there is not much I can do about it. Whatever is being provided to me by the local system. And I'm not in India, I'm in Nepal, so I don't have an external system. We can use, just let us try. Let us try. Let us try some other arrangement. Maybe it will become a little more stable. Hopefully. Английский? Is it? Yeah, it's connected.
It's working.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't look that it is better.
Is it working?
We can hear you fine.
Okay, so let me continue a little bit with this topic. So what I was saying is that we don't really use this privilege often enough to disengage ourselves from the material experience. By the eyes we always see, by the tongue we always taste, by the ears we always hear, and very rarely we try to look at this process from the objective side. Like, it's not I who is doing this, but this is my ear which is doing this. This is my tongue which is tasting the taste. This is this is my skin which is experiencing the touch. And the whole story of Puranjana is to explain how we should look at this. That actually this is something which is different from me. I am this King Puranjana. I am sitting in this body with 9 gates. I'm experiencing different things. You know, I'm going through one gate, through another gate. All these 9 gates I'm using frequently. I want to go to this place with this gate, to another place with this gate, experiencing this. But I'm different from this. I am not actually this thing. Uh, Actually, if we study this chapter very carefully, this and other 4 chapters about King Puranjana very carefully, we will experience something very amazing. We will experience that I'm not this body, and it will not become just a lofty slogan from Bhagavad Gita, which we borrowed from Srila Prabhupada. It will become our own experience. That's the power of the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, the words of Narada Muni. It will give us the constant position of a witness. It's actually what we're supposed to develop while practicing Krishna consciousness. Sakshi Bhava. Sakshi means witness, and witness basically means coming back to reality. I am not really experiencing what is going on. Something which is going on in my body, I am just a witness of it. So there is a difference. If I am totally identifying with the body and the processes which are going on in the mind, with all these waves in the mind, with all these whirlpools and storms which are going on in my mind, and I'm trying to enjoy or suffer with this. I will not really break the chain of karmic reactions, because every experience done in such consciousness will leave an impression in my mind, and this impression will force me, will push me to experience it again and again and again. Whereas if I take this objective position and look at it from the objective point of view, I will not really remain in this vicious circle of birth and death, because even the impression, samskara, which is left from this experience, will be much less, if at all. Actually, if we really be established in this position of sakshi, of witness, then there will be no impressions practically, because the impressions are left by all these experiences which we have only when we identify with this experience, give them emotional how to say, rating. If we're eating and at the same time we are we as the jiva soul saying, oh, this is great, this is such a good pizza, it's amazing pizza, I've never eaten such a good pizza, this pizza will stuck in your brain forever, and you will always try to repeat the same experience. And the more, the higher your emotional rating of this or that experience will be, no matter what kind of emotional rating it is. It may be a negative emotional rating, or it may be positive emotional rating. In fact, negative emotional and which propels our being accumulated one after another, it creates vasana, and vasana creates the new personality. All these vasanas, they contain very strong emotional energy, and this emotional energy will inevitably turn into the desire at the end of my life. I want to experience this, I want to achieve this, or I want to become in Bhagavad Gita, where he explains Yam Yam Bhavam Tyajatan Tekavale Varam Tatate Vaiti Kaunteya Sadatat Bhava Bhavitaha. Whatever the word Bhavitaha in Sanskrit literally means soaked in. We are soaking our consciousness, our mind again and again and again in different experiences, and according to the to the source in which we are soaking our consciousness, well, that's why this objective consciousness is so important, to stop the vicious circle of karma. And there is no other way to stop the vicious circle of karma. You can do it directly, try to do it directly, which is a little difficult, to constantly be in this, try to be in this consciousness, or you can do it by the means of Krishna consciousness. It means that you are not really absorbed or concentrated in your own experience, but rather you're trying to think about Krishna or about your service, and you're not really too much concentrated on the experiences which is going on in your mind. You basically take it light. You don't take very seriously your happiness and distress. And because you don't take it very seriously, it doesn't leave a lasting experience. And because you take happiness and distress of Krishna or your spiritual master or Srila Prabhupada very seriously, then you are simultaneously creating some spiritual samskaras, which also have very powerful energy and ultimately will bring about your liberation, or not liberation. They will ultimately form your Svarupa. And there is no other way of doing this. We have to get rid of all the upadis, or external things which are covering over our consciousness at present time. Anyway, that's the general purpose of this story, to look at our experiences from a distance, not from within, but from without. And immediately, as soon as we take this position of witness, of Sakshi, we become less involved in it. We become more detached, and we will say, so what? This is a good pizza. So what? This is a really bad, some bad experience, some suffering. But you will take it less seriously, and you will be much more emotionally protected and more emotionally balanced if you practice it every now and then. Actually, the idea is that you should practice it all the time. You should try to practice it in the beginning, initially, a little bit, but then if you really do it, you will get the taste of it. If you're somewhat detached and you're more concentrated on much more important things in your life, then you're not really disturbed by all these events which are there. And this is a great achievement. If you are laying in a hospital in a bed and your body is a mess, and you're capable of looking at this objectively and remain very peaceful in this time, this is already quite a significant achievement. But why do I say that this is what we're supposed to do all the time? Because this is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says in Shikshashtakam. Actually, this position of witness, this Sakshi Bhava, is described in the third verse of Shikshashtakam, the famous verse, most popular verse among the devotees, Trinadapi Sunichinataro, Apisa Hishnuna Manina, Manadana Kirtaniya Sadahari. This is being explained by Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where he says that humility means Sakshi Bhava. humility and Sakshi Bhava is not different. And humility and this internal experience of oneself being a body is also synonyms. You know, to remain humble, to be able to respect others and not to expect respect to oneself, one has to take this position of Sakshi. I am not this body. I don't care what is going on. I don't care what other people think about me. I don't care what other people really talk about me. And only then I will be able to become humble. Whereas if I experience and take very seriously what is going on with me in my life, this is called pride. I am very proud of my achievement. I am this, I am that, I am PhD, I am ABC, GBC, whatever it is, you know, whatever abbreviation you can put in front of your body is good. The more it is, the better, you know. People are so mad, they're so happy of collecting all these upadhis, you know. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't give this example, but and actually the more old they become, the more attached they become to all these prizes and all these diplomas which they have. You know, you come to some important man office and he has the whole wall with all these different diplomas and, you know, this funny stuff, you know, how you call this, vessels and
trophies.
yeah, trophies. You know, and you look at this and you really know, you know, this man has a lot of problems because he's not only identifying with this body, which is, you know, problematic, but he's identifying with all these achievements which is there, and he's collecting them more and more and more because this is how people you know, create their own importance. You know, the more this stuff they have, the more important they are, even though it's completely insignificant. You know, this piece of paper. You know, when Soviet Union was there was this last ruler of the Soviet Union, Brezhnev. So he had so many, you know, orders and medals, and you know, it wouldn't even fit in his in his chest, you know. And practically every week he would put some more stuff on his chest. Because you know, that's unfortunately the nature of an old age. We become afraid of becoming nothing, and therefore we try to collect these useless upadhis. And bhakti means sarva upadhi vinirmuktam tat paratvina nirmalam. Actually, and the literal translation of the word upadhi in Sanskrit is diploma. So, you know, it's PhD upadhi, MB or BA, whatever upadhi is there. This is all upadhis. Temple President upadhi, or GBC upadhi, or Sannyasi upadhi, that's also upadhi. So this is what is going on. And this bhava, Sakshi bhava, which I mentioned, is sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. I am not this. I am not proud of all these achievements. And therefore, actually, the real result of reading and studying this story again and again and again, if you read it many, many times in a row, I once recommended to my audience to listen to read the story 100 times in a row. And I promised to them that if they do this, they will definitely realize that they're not this body. And many of them did it. I didn't do it myself, I have to admit. But Some of them did share with me their experiences that it's really detachment is coming out because you just see what is going on. You are this King Puranjana and there's this body and there is this Mukhya Dwara, Mukhya gate, which is your mouth. And you're going with two friends in two cities, accompanied with two friends into two cities from this mouth. You're eating and you're speaking. And therefore, the tongue, which has here two names, sense gratification. We can use this body very Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam, serving, but usually use facilitator in human body of the very very nice activity which we can do with the body to prolong or to survive. The sense enjoyment of any interaction with the senses which we have, of senses with the sense objects, the body. You know, if we eating to live, then the enjoyment will come. In the act of eating, the enjoyment is invested with the act of eating, and we will have some healthy enjoyment. But if we are eating to enjoy, this and this healthy enjoyment will give us some enthusiasm in the mind, and the act of eating will bring to us some energy and you know, very healthy sort of life. But if we make byproduct as the main goal of this activity, the enjoyment is a byproduct. But if we switch and instead of eating to live, we start living to eat, then the same act will become suicidal, more or less. It will become the cause of a lot of troubles and problems and basically destroy our life. Same with the sex. Sex is good. Dharma viruddha kamasmi. I am the sex according to Dharma viruddha, which is not against the principles of Dharma. But if the byproduct of sex enjoyment becomes the main purpose of being engaged in this process, then it will become very destructive to the body and destructive to the mind. It will become totally destructive. So, and basically what is described here is described the misuse of the body. The use of the body, the use of the mouth and the facilities or whatever is there in the mouth, the rasagya and the speaking faculty which is there in the mouth, the use for sense gratification, useless thing. You know, we all know what it means to use the tongue for sense gratification. You know, she said this and he did this and they're so bad, blah, 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 blah. And all this gossip which is there. This, you know, it's in Hindi, no, even in Sanskrit there is a saying, Ninda rasa piba, just drink this very delicious drink of ninda, of offenses, of gossip. Ninda rasa piba, sada piba, always drink. You know, we enjoy by speaking bad things about other people, and we enjoy by eating all kinds of garbage. And but if we really look at this in the useless process, you know, how many pizzas did we eat in our life? How many other stuff did we eat? What is the result? Where are they? You know, of course, they are in the mind. They're still there in the form of desire. But, you know, it really inconsequential. It really doesn't matter. It's not so important. It's not as important as we think while looking at this from inside. If we objectively look at this process, we will say, so what? This is not important. This is nothing which brings me real satisfaction. The real satisfaction can only be brought by some experiencing of love, while we are really connecting heart by heart with other people. So that's basically the purpose of this whole story, to try to read it, really experience all this so-called enjoyment in the real world, experience in a sense that, yes, this is my senses, this is not me. My senses are interacting with the objects of the senses, and I need to do it, I have to do it to survive, but it's not as important as I may think. So and that's the purpose, and ultimately, as I said, that will bring about the humility. And without humility, we cannot really achieve the taste or experience real taste of the holy name. That's how it is connected. This is how it is connected. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is about the importance of the chanting of the holy name. But you will never be able to experience the taste of the holy name, or the real taste. The shadow of the taste you will be able to experience. The shadow of the taste you can experience from the very beginning. But this shadow is very unstable. You get little taste, and then you think, oh, I'm being sentimental. It just appears to me. It's just some mirage or something like this. It's some mental game which is going on. No, it's not mental game. Sometimes, I'm sure every one of you has this experience. You start crying during kirtan, or recently somebody sent to me an interesting video. It's a few minutes video about some contest in South India, and the girls, little girls, some 7-year-old girl, one is even less, 7-8-year-old girl, one was, I think, 5-year-old. They were singing one song about Krishna, beautiful song, and in the refrain of this song, they started in a very high pitch saying Krishna, 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 to continue the song, because she starts crying. She stops it, and everyone is amazed. And then next girl comes and sings the same song, and same thing happens to her. And then one Muslim comes, and then she starts saying Krishna, 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 and again the tears coming from her eyes automatically, by the power of the name. The name, the power, this power, this is called Taraka Shakti, is invested in the holy name, and you can get, if you really in a pure heart chant the holy name, you will experience some shadow taste. But as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you can only experience the real taste, start experiencing the real taste, after reaching this stage of Sakshi Bhava, of this position of being the witness, not the experiencer, not the bhokta, but Sakshi. So that's extremely important, and that's why it is there. This story is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, because again, as I said, the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is to glorify the name. If we analyze the Srimad Bhagavatam as a whole, we will see in the first chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Apanaksham Sritim Ghoram, the glorification of the name is there by the sages of Naimisharanya. The very last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is again about glorifying Sankirtanam. that by Sankirtana your whole heart will become very pure. And in the meantime, so many glorifications of the holy name is there. Aho bata, how it is, Swapachita Gariyam, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole Ajamila story. So the whole essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is to instill within our heart the faith and the power of the holy name. And of course, 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this story about Kali Yuga, Kalir Doshani De Rajan, Astihe Mahad Gunan, Kirtanadeva Krishnasya. From the Kirtan of the holy name, Mukta Sangha Paramvrajet, you will get complete freedom from all the association with material atmosphere. But you can only experience this, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you develop humility. And you can only develop humility if you from body. These identify yourself from the pride which is there, which is attached to your body, which is connected with your body, which is, which is basically inseparable from your body. So you can never become really humble if you're not in this position of not really experiencing, of not being proud of your enjoyment of your suffering. Because people equally suffer, equally enjoy the suffering and enjoyment. The experience of being a victim is very high-class enjoyment. I'm such a victim. I'm so nice, and everyone is exploiting me. So bad, and I'm so good. So anyway, you all know this. I'm just reminding you about this and trying to explain in the context of this verse what is the essence of this particular chapter. And of course, because tongue has these two functions, it's very difficult to control. Sharira vidya jal jodendriyata hikal jiva pele vishaya sagare taramadi jivati. Lobhamoy sudurmati. It's very voracious. It's very lobhamoy. It's very greedy to taste and to speak, because two functions are in one little piece of flesh. And accordingly, how we use this tongue, whether we use it to asatvarta veshya utsrijya sarvasva haranihes, Raghunath Das Goswami says, the first thing which we should do, asatvarta veshya, to utsrijya sarvasva haranih, we should give up this asatvarta veshya, we should give up this prostitute of asatvarta, of the mundane news, mundane gossip. And therefore also Srila Rupa Goswami starts Upadeshamrita. What is the first Upadesha in Upadeshamrita? What is the first one? It is, how is it? Vachavegam. Vachavegam, Manaso Krodha Vegam. So this is the first Upadesh. The most important Upadesh. If you want to become less proud, control your tongue. By looking at what you're doing objectively, not experiencing the taste of what you're doing with your tongue, but trying to look from outside. So this is the first Upadesh which we should understand, and it happened to be also the Upadesh of this particular verse which we are reading, that the two functions are there with the tongue. Tongue should be controlled first, and the only way to control tongue is to speak about Krishna. So I thank you very much for letting me to control my tongue by speaking about these talks of Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise I would probably talk some nonsense or engage some, my tongue in some way. So that's more or less this. And having said, by quoting Manak Shiksha of Raghunath Das Goswami, Asat Varta Veshya Utsrija Sarvasva Harani, he says, give up this prostitute of Asat Varta, of the mundane news, because it's Sarvasva Harani, because it robs you, steals from you, steals away from you everything, all the wealth which you could accumulate. You know, the problem with this tongue is that it's a robber, it's a thief. It robs us from spiritual experience. You know, you can have very simple experiment. You experience something really spiritual, you experience some elevated state of consciousness. You know, you just tell somebody about this. It will be gone. Because very proudly you will explain this to other people. And that's exactly what Raghunath Das Goswami says. He says, Sarvasva Harani. This tongue, or Asat Varta Veshya, our absorption into this Asat Varta, or Gramya Katha, mundane topics, actually deprives us from the spiritual experience, genuine spiritual experience. But because Sarvatma Prabhu asked me to speak about Ukraine, even though it is an Asat Varta, it's a mundane sort of experience, we still should speak about this, but of course keeping in mind everything which has been said. And what does it mean? It means that we're using this topic to glorify the devotional service. And actually this topic is very much worthy if we use it for this purpose. You know, I'm very unfortunately, you know, one may differently rate this experience. In one sense, it's very unfortunate to witness, you know, so many sufferings which people are undergoing. From another point of view, it's actually very satisfying to the heart. When you see how devotees, different devotees cope with this situation and how they remain stronger in their Krishna consciousness, so how they even, you know, just try to remain Krishna conscious in impossible situations, almost impossible situations. It's, you become very, you know, proud of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada's achievement. You know, yeah, there is. I heard a rumor that one devotee left his body due to this war, but it's not confirmed. Otherwise, most of the devotees, they, you know, the vast majorities of the devotees are safe. Although there were more than 120 devotees in Mariupol. Mariupol is the city which was the most affected by the war, and they were, for a long time, they were hiding in cellars of their go-downs of their houses. But they came together. You know, this 120 devotees, they stayed in 2 or maybe 3 places to help each other, because there was no electricity, their cell phones didn't work, there was no heat, and you know, the war started in February. It was a very cold time. February is called in Ukrainian language luty. Luty means fierce, cruel. It's the coldest months of the year, and they were there in the cellars of their houses, and they were, you know, sometimes there was not even drinking water there, and they had to, you know, by some very dangerous expeditions try to fetch some little water, and they were sharing the last things with each other, helping each other. So inevitably, practically everyone says this, that even though it's a very dramatic experience which they undergo through, but they also, I don't know, enjoy is not a good word for this, but they really uh, enjoy some sort of unity and this emotional connectedness which came to them. And somebody told me uh, uh, that every day we have kirtan in our. He's in western part of Ukraine, so this part is not so much affected. He said, but still we every day come for the kirtan there, and many 100 people are in one farm, maybe 70 people. So the people are really crowded there. But they all say that it's amazing, the hospitality, um, the level of friendliness and love and mutual help which they have is just tremendous, and they are really, getting some spiritual experience. And they say that's why, and because of this, the chanting of the name is also becoming much more profound experience than before. And of course, that being reminded, we are conveniently forgetting every day that the death is coming, that it soon will come to us, that we will have to leave everything, and we have to really be serious about our practice, because there is a lot to be done. A lot of stuff is there, useless stuff in our mind, and we have to really download this stuff completely. Not new garbage into our mind, but we forget about this on a daily basis. We forget about this, and we always says, it's not soon. I know it's coming, but it's not going to happen with me too soon. Too soon means, I don't know, but it may happen any day. Ahanya hani bhutani gachanti haya malayam. Yam yam stavaram ichanti kimascharya matah param. This famous verse from Mahabharata, Yudhishthir Maharaj says, this is most amazing thing that we always forget about. That we also, we will also go Gachanti ha Yamalayam, from here Iha to Yamalayam, to the abode of Yama. Even though we see every day people are doing this, they're going from here to the abode of Yama. But Yam Yam Stavaram Ichanti, still we want to stay in the same position where we are now. And this is Kimascharya Matah Param. What can be more amazing than this? And what I want to say is that in such an experience which devotees in Ukraine have, it's not possible. They really know that it can happen anytime. It may happen anytime. It happens right now with so many people. It may happen anytime. And therefore, they chant as if this is the last chance to chant. And therefore, because they're chanting in such consciousness, the chanting becomes very sincere and pure. So that's, I don't know if you want to say something. If you want me to say something more, I was not really prepared to speak about this. I sort of speaking a little bit about Bhagavatam, but I did both. So, and I'm almost speaking for 1 hour, so I guess that's time.
I wanna thank you. This has been a magnificent experience. I think I can speak in the name of all the devotees who have been listening to you, and I have a couple of questions for you, and perhaps a small historical correction. You may correct me if you wish. You said the last ruler of the Soviet Union was Brezhnev, and a historical mind.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, Gorbachev. But you know, Brezhnev was ruling for a long time. But of course, Gorbachev was the last. Yeah, after Brezhnev, was a couple more. Andropov and Chernenko, and then Gorbachev. Yeah.
But it's not important. I wanted to talk about upadhis because in your position as a GBC, just sannyasi, and leader of a very large yatra, etc., you have an opportunity to collect more upadhis than anybody else. How do you deal with this? I experienced a very small fraction of this respect and adoration and distinction just by going to Ukraine, for example, because I was senior to pretty much everybody there, and it was pretty unbearable. It's something that maybe when one is young, as a young devotee, you aspire to be recognized and famous, but actually the experience is actually quite contrary, that you feel overwhelmed and undeserving. So you, having all these titles attached to your and positions, you must experience this daily, if not weekly. How do you deal with us? All these respect and adoration. How can you become humble when everybody's telling you how great you are?
I try not to take it seriously. There should be some little sense of self-irony. If you develop the habit to be a little ironic about this whole thing, then it may not touch you too much. And ultimately, if you know that it doesn't belong to you, it's just a question of more or less preaching to oneself. It doesn't belong to me. I have nothing to do with it. And I know that I still have a long way to go. So if I always look back on all my achievements, how I will reach the goal which I want to achieve. So that's why actually there's some motive in the fairy tales. When somebody goes somewhere to a very arduous and dangerous journey, he's not supposed to look back. Isn't it? The condition is always like this. If you look back, then you will not reach your goal. So this is how it is. This is actually the important teachings for the spiritual practitioners. We are going in this journey and going through this road of spiritual development means that you shouldn't look back. I recently it's interesting, it was very profound experience for me. I went to Ahmedabad, the capital of Gujarat, and my Sanskrit teacher, to whom I went there, he took me to Saranpur. Saranpur is a small village in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Gujarat, countryside, where the training center of Swaminarayan sadhus, basically sannyasis of Swaminarayan group, is there. And I visited it before. This time it even had more impression upon me. And they have 1,200 sannyasis in their society. And they're doing this temple in Berkeley, temple in Delhi, this huge Swaminarayan temples everywhere. And this is because they're all trained in this little university which is there. It's basically the whole village is around this university, temple, and the training center. And sadhu, it was empty at that time. There was not so many students and sadhus, but one very tall sadhu, impressive sadhu, took us around. He spoke fluent English, and somebody told us that he's from America. And then somebody told us that his father is multimillionaire in America, and he's the only son. And he gave everything up, and he's sleeping there on the floor of this Saranpur, because the sadhus, they are not supposed to have any possessions, not even sleeping bags, you know, and they're sleeping only in the floor. And moreover, because he took sannyas officially, he's not even supposed to see his father. He told us that last time I saw my father was during my initiation ceremony. I've never seen him. I will never see him. You know, he blessed me to take this path, and I will never see him again. You know, and then in the end, you know, he was not speaking about himself. He was speaking about how they teach the students, about the condition, the rules which they have. It was very interesting. And with us was one devotee. Oh, what happened? Kasturi is still here, but nobody else is here.
No, 20 people are here.
Oh, 20 people are here. Okay. You're still here. Okay. Okay. So with us was one devotee who was our driver. He was rather young devotee, and he asked him at the end, because this devotee who drove us in the car impressed, and he said, where are you from in America? Where did you live in America? And then there was some pause, a little awkward pause, and somebody who was with us, he said, he will never say this, because he's not supposed to remember about this. He is not supposed to say where he's from even, because this is upadhi. This is looking back at his life and being attached to his life and to his previous experience. And he didn't say this. He didn't say where he was from. He didn't, you know, he said, I'm such and such Dharma Setu Swami. And that's it. He's Dharma Setu Swami. No upadhis. No past experiences, no attachment to this. So it's basically, you know, try to look forward, not to look back. And I mean, you know, there's forward, there is something nice.
But perhaps there are lessons to be learned from your own history, from your own past, and I think path of bhakti, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. If you do it to, you know, to share your experience, to help others, that's fine. But if you know, especially when people become a little old, they become sentimental, and all these past experiences become, you know, overly, you know, they're overly important to them. They always dwell in the past. This is not good. If you only do it in a very discreet manner, to share it with others, to help them, that's fine. But otherwise, not to dwell too much into in all this sentimental past, which always looked nicer than it really was.
If any of the devotees have any questions for Goswami Maharaj, please raise a virtual hand or a real hand, and this is your chance. Otherwise, we'll let him go. Go in once, go in twice. Well, it was, there is one from Venu Madhurya. Go ahead, Prabhu. Okay. Unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yomi Maharaj.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to thank you personally, and although the introduction has been made in the beginning, I wanted also to say that for me personally, and for my wife, and for many of our Namahatsa group in Prague, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj is a very dear person, you know. It's not always you can meet somebody who has such an immense compassion, sensitivity, and kindness. And that kindness is always as simple as it may sound, but it's something very rare. And just by having that example in our lives, it was blessing us, and we were able to push on in preaching. In many ways, it's also due to his kindness and compassion towards us. So I'm very thankful today that we were able to hear Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, and this topic is so nice. Thank you for reminding us, purifying our hearts, and really focusing on our consciousness to become this Sakshi, the witness that we are not this body, but rather the soul in this body. So, sorry, we are just on the outside that I to escape quickly, but I had to say this because
Thank you.
we are so happy to have you today with us.
Here you have, Maharaj, a few more upadis for yourself.
Doesn't, it's inconsequential at this moment of time.
There's my wife, she wants to ask a question if we still have time.
Yes?
I have a question. Please, I beg your forgiveness. I didn't listen very well because I was doing service on the altar, but I tried my best, and as I understood, we should have taken care of what is going on so seriously about our body, like, and absorb this detachment. At the same time, what I do, if I feel like if my health is not good, I can do less service for Guru and Krishna, and if my health is better, then I can do more service. And that's why I feel like I'm quite affected what's going on with my body. So how to do it?
That's fine. You know, that's fine. We have to be practical. We have to take care of this body. I do exercise every day for 1 hour or more sometimes. So we have to take care of the body. You know, it's not nice to be some disabled person in this body. So there's nothing wrong with it, unless it becomes an overwhelming, goal of our life. That it becomes the, how you say this, the goal in itself. If it's just the goal to help us serving, that's fine. That's not a big deal. We're using it properly. We have higher goal, and to achieve this higher goal, we may also take care of some other things, and we have to take care of some other things. But if this higher goal is being overshadowed by all these intermediary goals, which are not the goals in themselves, then that. But if we really keep the chastity and loyalty to the higher goal, then it's not a problem. Then we should do what needs to be done.
Winnie, go ahead and mute yourself.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So my question when I was listening, there's a few things occurred to me during your class. And I have like a couple of things, but I think the first thing I wanted to ask is, as a very new bhakti in the path of Bhakti Yoga, I realized that I am not there at the level that I can be transcendental to the most material nature. I can be equiposed in happiness and distress. And like you said earlier, that only when we get to that a certain state. I don't remember exactly the term, but only then you can actually become the witness of whatever going on with the body. So for a lot of us who are not there at the level, so how do we deal with these happiness and the stress when they arise? And I also see the tendency that sometimes we try to avoid our anatta when they arise and just try to chant or try to read scripture, but not really dealing with whatever anatta arise internally. And so how do we sort of navigate that and at the same time being equiposed, if that makes sense? All right.
It's a process. It takes time, but to speed it up a little bit, what is good is the attitude that usually we attribute too much importance to what is going on with us. So instead of doing this, it's better to downplay this sort of things and experiences. Usually people try to kind of exaggerate it. They experience something, and then when they tell it about this, they try to glorify as if it was something, even though it was not. So in this way they make the experience more profound and deeper than it really was. This is the usual tendency, because we always want, if happiness comes, then we try to make it more, and or at least make it look that it's more than it really is, or it's subjectively in our consciousness it becomes more. Devotee, on the contrary, should downplay these experiences. I'm happy, so what? It will not last long, don't worry. I'm sad, so what? Instead of kind of going deeper into this, try to be a little detached from this at the moment when you experience this. Try to, again, take your consciousness out of this experience. And it's possible, it may not be possible completely. You may not be completely free from this, but to a certain extent you can drag yourself little out, with little experience, not to overplay, but downplay what is happening with you. Take it too seriously. It happens. Diseases happens. People, they have tendency. If something bad is happening, they become really. Something good is happening, I'm really elated. Devotee is trying to moderate it a little bit. Even if you cannot be exactly in the middle, still you're a little closer to the middle than anyone else. So.
I have a follow-up question, perhaps. How do you deal with upadis that are actually traumatic? Like people have traumatic experiences from childhood, or maybe from past life, or maybe poor parenting, etc., etc. And that when they come to Krishna consciousness, they think, okay, I don't have to deal with it because I just follow the process of bhakti and chant Hare Krishna, and everything will go away. I know how we deal with it in the West. In this, I mean, there's a lot of people taking medication that they were told not to, because when you chant Hare Krishna, everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be equalized, and has proven to be a mistake. So how do you personally deal with this?
See. If you need to take medication, you need to take medication. If it's such a severe case that you have to really moderate the activity of your brain, if the trauma is so deep, then that hormonal balance is totally thrown out, and it's imbalanced, then you have to take medication. What medication does, it basically, it doesn't heal the trauma, but it brings you a little bit in the middle by, bringing mediators in the brain somewhere to the level, or to the normal level, so to speak. But if we even take this Western method, psychological method, what is the mechanism of Western psychology? Western psychology basically takes you back to this experience and try to live out the same experience in your present consciousness, which is much less vulnerable than the consciousness of the child when the trauma was there. And living out this experience, you actually has less traumatic samskara, less deep samskara. Like for example, it's a silly example, but still it's valid example because it's the same with other stuff. Some people have some phobias, and some people are very much afraid of spiders, spider phobia or whatever, or snake phobia, and it's probably because of some childhood trauma when they saw this spider, and this spider so ugly, it became really dangerous, and it left very deep samskara. But as an adult, if you encounter some spider, there will be not such a deep samskara in your mind. You will not be so afraid. So if you try to go back to the experience in the childhood from the vantage point of your adult consciousness, and you understand that actually what happened may be not such a big deal, then such troubling to you anymore. This is what they do. They try to disconnect or emotionally discharge this samskara from the emotions which were attached to it. Because different people, according to the level of their vulnerability or security, they will experience the same experience in a completely different way. Somebody will be messed up and somebody will not be messed up. Somebody will be, okay, so what's the big deal? I'm not saying that, all the horrible things which are going on now in the world with the children is okay, but, some of them can be experienced in a lighter way. So what I want to say is that, if you need to take medication, it's fine. But if you need to go to a psychotherapist, and to go through this process of, psychotherapeutic healing, it's also fine. It has to be done. But in a certain way, if you experience, and again, I don't recommend it as a universal recipe for all the cases, but in a certain way, if you really, if you have a close devotee friend, and if you can share this experience with him, and if he can give you some, objective sort of analysis of what was going on at that time, then it can be, to a certain extent, a substitute of a professional help. If you need professional help, fine, take professional help. But the process of Krishna consciousness, or rather, not the process itself, not just chanting of Hare Krishna, but the devotee association can be very healing in this regard. And that's why Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, he gave this seminar of healing the souls in Vaishnava communities. If the devotees really know what is going on and how to help others, we really can. I think we can, because devotees, they're natural psychologists. What is actually our scriptures? The scriptures, they explain the psychology of a conditioned soul, of the conditioned mind, the psychology of liberated souls are explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjvala Nilamani, and psychology of the conditioned soul explained plenty in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam also. So, the like for example, you asked my personal experience, my personal thing. Many times I was in a very difficult situation. Many times I was on the brink of complete breakdown. One such situation was very dramatic and traumatic. Of course, I have quite, I relatively healthy mind. But still, it was very difficult experience. And at that time, Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj came to me, and I started crying at him, and I was crying probably for 1 hour non-stop at his chest, and he didn't say anything. He was just there, patting me on the head, and it was gone. And what is left from this experience? Only gratitude to Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj. Deep samskara of gratitude to him. Nothing really traumatic left from this, because I had this good association, and he was not really giving me Krishna conscious advice. He was not speaking lofty philosophy to me. He was not doing all this kind of nonsense stuff. He was just my friend at that time. He was there with me. He was patting me at the head. That was it. And I knew that he's there and he knows what is going on within my heart, and he shared it with me, and I was relieved from this experience. So, and I believe in what Ravindra Swarup Prabhu said, that the devotional communities has to become such places where people are coming to heal their souls. And we're living in Kali Yuga. Everyone is wounded. Everyone is very much traumatized by all kinds of experiences. And some of traumatic experience we get in ISKCON. That's also true. But if we really become, healers to each other, if we really try to, if this is the emphasis of our devotional life, to help other people to become more healthy, that's possible. And devotees are equipped with this because they have compassion, they have so many other good qualities. They have understanding, they have soft heart. But we have to have some association of such devotees to be able to take advantage of it. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Yes, you answered it and then some. I appreciate your candor and your explanation. I think we can wrap it up. It's been very kind and generous of you to offer us your time and wisdom. Okay, we have one quick question by Marina. You can unmute yourself, and then we'll go to wrap it up. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I am from Boston, visiting here in Vitnakari, really enjoying it. You were on retreat here. It's just a wonderful time. So again, thank you for being with us. And I'm actually the student in Bhakti School, the one that the Vatsala Prabhu organizing.
Okay.
And now I know there is this new course on the Swami of Vrindavan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking this course, and of course I couldn't resist to advertise this course to Sarvatma Prabhu. And I have just a question: is it possible to have it in English so they can enjoy it? And actually that would be, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very good to have an example of people such that Goswamis of Vrindavan, because it was a really, really challenging lives that they have, and how they overcame all these difficulties and distresses. So that would be really great addition, I guess, to our knowledge. Thank you.
let me explain 2 words about what Marina was saying. We are producing series of very professionally done films. There was a lot of research went into this about the lives of Goswamis of Vrindavan. It's in Russian, unfortunately, but it's really professionally done videos. I don't exactly know how many parts of it, but it's many. It's at least 10 parts video. You know, fully researched with all kinds of beautiful footage. And along with these videos, as an attachment to these videos, we are producing also a series of lectures about the teachings of each and every Goswami. Jiva Goswami, of course, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. So the videos will be translated or at least dubbed into English. That's, I think, is already being done. I don't know if it will be subtitles or, you know, something will be there. Regarding the course, I'm not sure because most of the speakers may not be fluent in English. I'm giving a part of it, but not only myself, others as well. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're keeping in mind the English-speaking audience. Whatever will happen, will happen. I'm not 100% sure what is going on, but I think videos will be translated into English, that's for sure. And they're really good videos. I highly recommend this. I saw them, I was so impressed. Very beautiful footage and amazing details about the stories of, histories, biographies of Goswamis, especially Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and of course Jiva Goswami.
So perhaps, Maharaj, you can keep me informed. You can send me a note if the videos are translated. I'll be happy to pass it on to the rest. Now I would like to invite all the devotees to unmute themselves and show their gratitude personally to you, to a shining example of what it means to be a modern Goswami, giving us what we are lacking, which is Krishna consciousness with realization. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
And for all of you devotees, we're going to have Amarendra Prabhu, the disciple of Radha Govinda Swami, give Ramayan Katha this afternoon at 6:30 p.m.
Minutes. Тогда выключить.
Okay. Гайдли.